Good morning, everybody. In your opinion, what's the most recognizable structure in our country? Well, for many, it's the Washington Monument. And it was on this date, December 6, in 1884, that the exterior structure of the monument was completed. This map shows Pierre L'Enfant's original street plan for Washington, D.C., and it did include a spot for a monument to Washington, but none was built. So in the 1830s, a group was formed to get going on that, and this is the first proposal that was accepted, and you'll notice it's got all kinds of Roman columns at the bottom, including Washington driving a chariot. Well, on July 4, 1848, the cornerstone was laid. It was laid by President Polk, and three future presidents were there. Buchanan, Lincoln, and Andrew Johnson were in the audience. But then it just sat there for some decades. There was just no money and sort of some confusion about the plan. When the Civil War came, the area by the monument was used as a slaughterhouse and also a drill field for soldiers. So here you can see that. It looks kind of forlorn. And if you had looked to the east, you would have seen the Capitol building under construction. So during the Civil War, two of our great monuments were not finished yet. So that would have been a sight to see in Washington. Well, as we get closer to our event, there's another plan for the monument. Here it is. It's a little blockier on the bottom and has a little different top. But plan ideas go back and forth, and finally we get what we have today. And here's our event. December 6, 1884. The outside was finished. Here you can see the workers finalizing the peak of the monument, and eventually it'll have an aluminum cap on it. And perhaps you could see there are signatures in that. And there's kind of an interesting story why they picked aluminum rather than other things, but it's still there today. Now, after the exterior was finished, of course, they had to work on the interior, like the cast iron spiral staircase, which isn't used today anymore for various reasons. And eventually it's opened October 9, 1888. Chester Arthur was the president, and here's a photograph of people attending the ceremony of the opening of the monument. Now, the fellow who had designed the one in the 1830s had already made one in Baltimore, and here it is. So there are two big monuments to Washington, not that far apart from each other. You might note that the lower third of the monument has a different color stone. That's because they had to switch quarries through the construction, and it's still visible today. So when it was finished, it was the tallest building on the planet. Eventually was surpassed by the Eiffel Tower. Today it's the tallest obelisk in the world, and no building in Washington can be taller than the Washington Monument. It's not only a monument to Washington, but it's also a symbol of unity for all of us, and that's why it has the 50 flags around the bottom. And if you go inside, you can see a lot of the commemorative stones that are there, particularly if you take the elevator. Perhaps you've done that. As you go up and down, you can see the stones, some from the States. Some are very elaborate, like this one from the Association of Journeymen. And some have a lot of detail in them. Some are very simple, and some are, I think, kind of ironic, like this one from Arizona, which has petrified wood in it. Today it's illegal to take petrified wood from there, but it wasn't illegal back then. And another thing about the monument is it's the only one in the district you need a ticket to visit. The other presidential monuments don't require a ticket. Now, you might recall in 2011 there was an earthquake, and the Washington Monument was closed because it had some cracks in the walls and things, but those are fixed now, and you can visit it. So I think we'd all agree that when we visit Washington, D.C., one of the great things to visit is the Washington monument.